Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com, built by Renaissance.com. Officially half that work week in the rearview mirror, working towards the weekend. It's an early weekend for LSU baseball. Tigers and Sooners will get things started at the box tomorrow evening. It'll be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. Only 2 of those for LSU this year. Week 2, which is this week, and then the final week of the season when everybody moves up in preparation for the Southeastern Conference Tournament over in Hoover. On the beat for LSU baseball is Koki Riley with The Advocate. He's good enough to give us some time on Wednesdays, does so now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Koki, how are you?
Doing pretty well. How's it going?
Going quite well. Now, how was Jay Johnson today? Y'all got a chance to talk with him a little bit earlier.
Yeah, it was solid. We got a little update on William Schmidt. Sounds like he's going to be all ready and set the pitch on Saturday.
Okay.
I think he said that everyone's available to pitch at the bullpen for tomorrow, except for maybe Grant Fontenot.
Okay.
And, those were kind of the pertinent updates outside of, just the general color that we get for our little analysis and future stories moving forward. So, those are kind of the news items. So
let's talk about the weekend that was. How much did the 7th and 8th innings on Sunday offensively make up for the 2 games prior?
I think that I think it was just a good week to be a hitter, a good weekend to be a hitter in general. That park, the ball was flying out of that park at a hilarious degree.
Yep.
The wind was blowing out to center field the entire weekend. If you just touched it in the air, it was going out. And combine that with kind of the smaller dimensions and the fact that it's a turf field, and it was just a very, 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 very beneficial for any sort of hitter. So I don't want to overreact too much to one weekend for the offense. And I think the only real time that they struggled, I guess, was that 4-inning stretch on Sunday and then Saturday. I thought the offense played very well on Friday, and I thought that they did a good job against seeing the ball well against Connor Fennell. And I thought, Sunday it was like once Vanderbilt had to go deeper into its bullpen, it was over for their pitching, and LSU just sort of feasted on that from a matchup perspective. Once they did that, and Vanderbilt's injuries right now are really, really hurting that team in terms of just what they have available from a pitching standpoint. You can just really, really tell.
Was there a player or two that stood out offensively beyond Jake Brown that you felt has made some steps forward in the last week and a half or so?
I think Omar Cerner's looked better at the plate. He's sort of getting to his full power. He a little bit more. Had a couple nice hits in the Sunday game, I believe it was, and then yesterday scored 3 times. Actually, he was responsible for scoring 3 of their first 4 runs yesterday. So, yeah, it seems like he's sort of finding some sort of rhythm offensively. I think all the veterans in general looked really good in the SEC series. I thought Chris Stanfield consistently put the ball in play. I thought Kate Arambidi had a really sneaky good weekend.
Yeah.
It was kind of just the guys who had been there and done that who looked good, outside of maybe Omar Cerna. So it wasn't that is a little disheartening if you're an LSU fan, because you need one or two of these transfers to step up, and especially between York, Dardar, and Arambidi, 2 of those guys have to hit for this offense to work. And right now, only one of them is hitting in conference play, and it's very early, and there's a lot of season left, and yada yada yada. But that is important, and they need to get that fixed at some point soon.
What do you have more confidence that we'll get, and I'll use air quotes here, fixed? Take that with whatever you want. The starting pitching or the offense?
What about them?
Which one do you think has a better chance to take a real step forward and get quote unquote fixed?
I think the starters. To me, it's honestly the starters because like the guys who are struggling, a lot of them are just like veteran guys who haven't played at this level. And what if they just don't have it to play at this level, right? There's not a whole ton you can do about that. The rotation is like two sophomores who, well, there's a junior in Cooper Moore who's still like exploring the studio space for a little bit, and I think he can be better than he was on Saturday. But it's also like two sophomores who have been elevated into much larger roles. And I those are young, talented guys. We've seen them pitch against SEC pitching a little bit already. Like, I think there's room for them to improve as players, and they're younger guys, and we know how talented they are. So I have some confidence, especially with the way Schmidt pitched and some of the mechanical adjustments that Case and Evans can still make, that those guys can pitch better as the year goes along. But like Seth Darden is like a fifth-year senior. Zach York's a senior. These guys haven't played at this level before. Like, where's the ceiling there? And I guess when you're asked that question, I just think I go immediately to like the ceiling of the team, and they just have a higher ceiling on the mound than they do at the plate at the moment.
There's no doubt about that, and pitching's more important. You got to hit some, but if you can really pitch, you can do just about whatever you want. I'm curious your thoughts on Case and Evans now through 5 weeks, and I know that y'all asked Jay Johnson about him earlier today, so kind of bundle that all into one answer.
Yeah, with Case and Evans, and I think Jay alluded to this a little bit. He needs to make either preparation adjustments or mechanical adjustments to get him to not just throw strikes more consistently, but just like command the ball better, more consistently. And when he's on, we've seen it when he's on. He's one of the best pitchers in the league. The problem is that we just haven't seen that consistently enough so far this season. I mean, we got the 5 no-hit innings in his Sacramento State started, looked excellent, but then falls apart a little bit in the 6th, and then really fell apart against Vanderbilt, where he's kind of consistently missing. And I think with his delivery, it's such a quick delivery, and it's just so tightly wound in a way that it is kind of hard for him to repeat it sometimes. And I talked to a scout the other day on Saturday about it. He had seen him the first time, and that was kind of his observation, where it's like it's so quick and so fast, and sometimes he can maybe rush through his mechanics, or he kind of has, again, more unique mechanics. There was a suggestion that maybe he doesn't strike down the mound super long, and that might affect some things. And it's just like he has to be more precise or slow it down or something when it comes to just the mechanics of his game, because right now he's missing too much. But like I still think there's plenty of hope for him, because there's a long season left, and we already know what he can do from a talent perspective. So yeah, he's an interesting case, and he's very, very important for the team, obviously.
Do you think there's any inclination to make a shuffle in the weekend rotation at any point in the near future?
It's going to really come down to how this weekend goes. Like, if they get swept this weekend and they lose, and maybe 2 of the 3 starters don't look very good, there might be some sort of shuffle. My only real problem with that idea is that, like, who are they going to replace him with? I mean, Zach Callum looked pretty good in relief the other day, but that was one outing. Cooper Williams is just trying to get his footing again against much weaker competition and throw more strikes. I don't think he's in a spot to take the ball for 5 innings at the moment. Same goes with Jaden Newt. So they just don't have a lot of options if these starters don't work. And I understand the inkling to sort of go to that, but there might be like a shakeup in who starts when, right? You could see that, but I don't really see like who are the new bodies that are coming in. I don't really know.
What does your gut tell you about the Oklahoma series Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
This is a better Oklahoma team than the one they saw last year, especially offensively. Pitching wise, it seems like they've taken some sort of step back, but if Cam Johnson's on, then he's pretty darn good. It is worth noting that he really struggled in his first SEC start last week, where he walked 7 batters in 2 1/3 innings.
Yep.
So if that happens again, then LSU's definitely got a shot to win that first game. But if he's on and there's some sort of revenge factor there, it could be tough for LSU. So we'll see how that ends up shaking out. It's going to be a fascinating game with a lot of interesting storylines, obviously.
We'll see you out at the box this weekend, Koki. Thanks, man.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
He's Koki Riley with The Advocate covering the LSU baseball beat. He was up in Nashville and will certainly be at the box Thursday, Friday, Saturday for LSU and Oklahoma. He mentioned just there that Cam Johnson will get the start for Oklahoma on Thursday, and he mentioned something I told you yesterday and that I'll bring up again in SEC Baseball Power Rankings coming up in 15 minutes. He had 7 walks through not quite 3 innings in his first SEC start, and that's the guy we saw for his time in Baton Rouge, and I'm curious whether or not he can get that straightened out. And quite frankly, I have no ill will toward the kid whatsoever. But if he wants to walk 7 more in the first 3 innings coming up on Thursday, I'll welcome that with open arms, frankly. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. When we come back, Mel Kiper's got a mock draft. What does that mean for the New Orleans Saints? We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com, built by Renaissance.com. If you want to get in touch with Renaissance Homes and Pools, here's the best thing to do. Call or text Joey Blanchard. Joey is the owner. He has been in the construction space here in the capital city for 2 decades. If you're looking for your forever home to be built, Renaissance Homes and Pools can do it. You've always wanted that new pool, Renaissance Homes and Pools can do it. Outdoor kitchen entertaining space, Renaissance Homes and Pools can do it. And Joey's going to be with you every step of the way. You have that consultation, you have that design meeting. Maybe you know what you want, and he can help you get that. Maybe you have no idea where to start. You just want a swimming pool. Joey can help you with that part of it as well. He'll be there for the design. He'll be there when they dig it, when they fill it, when they complete it. That's what you can be promised when you work with a local company with an owner who's as invested as Joey is in his company, Renaissance Homes and Pools. Reach out via text, 225-252-7745. Say, hey, Joey, I'd like to talk to you about getting a new pool. Still plenty of time to get into that pool when it heats up and the weather's hot, which it is till, October around here? Just reach out to Joey, 225-252-7745. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Multi-platinum Grammy-winning superstar Zach Bryan is coming to Tiger Stadium Saturday, March 28th for the Death Valley Live Stadium Series. And 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge is hooking you up with free tickets. Register now at 1045ESPN.com for your chance to win.
I'll tell you about my friends at Boudreaux's Electrical Services. You can find them online at boudreauxelectrical.com. That's at boudreauxelectrical.com. Neil and Melissa have been running Boudreaux's Electrical for 40 years. Local, family-owned Boudreaux's Electrical Services. You can buy a Generac home standby generator from a lot of different places. That's a fact. But do you get the personal touch and the continued customer service that you will get from Boudreaux's Electrical Services? You need that thing installed, they got you covered. You need maintenance done, they've got you covered. Do you need a company to monitor your generator remotely 24/7 in case there's some sort of issue? They'll know to come out and fix it, even if you don't. That's the peace of mind you get from a local company like Boudreaux's Electrical. So if you're looking for a Generac home standby generator to make sure that you don't lose power for the hurricane, for that afternoon thunderstorm, for that winter event like we had, and you get the peace of mind of knowing your power is never going out. How many times have you come back from evacuating and the house is 90 degrees and you got to throw everything out of the refrigerator and it smells terrible? It's just a drag, but it's part of living in this part of the world unless you get that Generac home standby generator from the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical. Give them a call, 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562, or 225-300-9389, 225-300-9389. That's Boudreaux's Electrical Services. All right, Mel Kiper's latest mock draft is out, and it does have some shakeups in the early picks. He's still sticking with Fernando Mendoza out front there. He has changed his number 2 pick of the Jets to David Bailey, the outside linebacker from Texas Tech. Arvell Reese, another outside linebacker, edge rusher at the Cardinals at 4. Jeremiah Love all the way up to at number 3 for Arvell Reese. Jeremiah Love at number 4 to the Titans. That's way up there for him. Caleb Downs is the 5th pick to the Giants. That's someone I'm going to talk about with the Saints as we move closer to the draft. I think that's kind of my wish for a player to fall. Most mock drafts are going to have Caleb Downs in front of the Saints. But every year, somebody backs up a few picks. And if you're talking about the Giants there at 5, it stands to reason he could get to the Saints at 8. And we know that the Saints, even though Sean Payton's still not there and Dennis Allen's not there anymore, like there are people in that Saints front office that are still connected to Ohio State. And they understand what they get when they dip into that well. And it's been pretty good more often than not. Caleb Downs is kind of a guy that I want to keep an eye on. At number 6, Monroe Freeling from Georgia, the offensive tackle to the Browns. Sonny Styles right in front of the Saints, an Ohio State Buckeye. At number 7 to the Commanders. And then at number 8, Ohio State, Carnell Tate.
Oh.
So it's just it's a run on Ohio State players, and the Saints may have their ability to pick one right there. I haven't talked a lot about Carnell Tate to this point, but the blurb here from Mel says the Saints' main signings came on offense, signed David Edwards and running back Travis Etienne. That's also where I expect them to look during the draft. They need to surround Tyler Shuck with as much talent as possible. Number 2 wide receiver on the roster is Devon Vele, who made 25 catches last year. Tate brings a well-rounded scouting report, solid route running, the ability to come down with tough catches thanks to his hands and his body control. He'd be a great opposite Chris Olave, another excellent receiver to come out of Ohio State in recent years. There's a trend here. Buckeyes, there's a significant amount of Buckeyes. Carnell Tate is bigger than some of the receivers on this Saints roster. He's not bigger than Vele, but he is 6'3". He's 195 pounds. And if you look at his production, it's been really good the last 2 years, and it's been very consistent the last 2 years. 2024, 52 catches. 2025, 51 catches, so right on. Then in 2024, 733 yards. Last year, 875. He went up about 3 yards per catch, and then went from 4 touchdowns to 9 touchdowns in that Ohio State offense that was very, very good. That's obviously with a couple of different quarterbacks there, and the production was still very, very good. Ohio State's going to print wide receivers. They just churn them out year over year over year, and we know that the Saints have dipped into that well with a couple of really, really good ones. Michael Thomas, pretty good, and obviously Chris Olave on the roster right now. And I would be perfectly fine with Carnell Tate in this pick. If I'm looking at this mock draft, and you heard me rattle through the names that would go in front of the Saints, I still think I would lean Jordan Tyson over Carnell Tate. They've got Jordan Tyson in this draft going number 11 to Miami, but both being available there. I would not throw a fit at either one, to be clear. And nobody's asking my expert opinion on drafts analysis, but just my opinion on it is that Carnell Tate would be fine. I would rather Jordan Tyson. But going with either one of those at that position, I think is excellent. This is what I feel stronger about in my analysis of the NFL draft. I'm not going to sit here and purport to be a scout. And the draft is very fickle in that way. Nobody hits on all their picks. Every organization misses in the first round, second round, third round at times. It is a fickle thing. Every analyst misses. So I'm not here to fault based on player too much. I'll fault you if you take Anthony Richardson right at the top of the draft, and I can watch him in college and go, he's not good. Like, then I'll jump out there. But more often than not, I'm not going to jump down a scout's throat, a GM's throat about the player. Position is different. I think position, you need to show a good plan. And if you show me your work here and you go, okay, we feel like wide receiver is where we want to go right here at number 8, I'm good with that. I think wide receiver is a great plan. I think Carnell Tate's a heck of a player. I think you're not asking him to jump in and immediately be your number 1 wide receiver. Chris Olave can do that, and he provides a different type of receiver on a different side of the line of scrimmage. You insert Devon Vele in there. You see what Polk can give you, and that's still a little bit of a wild card for me to see what he gives you at wide receiver. But I like Carnell Tate in this spot. I think that's a fine pick. And it's funny that you're seeing so many Ohio State players pegged toward the Saints year over year over year. But I'm not going to complain about it because they're always good. So I think that's just fine here. I like Carnell Tate in this spot. And if they go wide receiver, if they go Carnell Tate, I like it. And I think that adds to this Saints offense. And I'll tell you, if this is the pick that they make, I think you go into training camp late in July, and you should feel like you've got a chance to go from one of the worst offenses in the NFL, which is what you absolutely were in October, one of the worst offenses in the NFL. I think you could be looking at a top half of the offense, top half of the NFL offense this coming season with the changes you've made. You're older at tackles. You're way better at one guard. You're way better at quarterback. You've upgraded at running back. You've gotten younger at that position. You've upgraded at wide receiver. You've gotten more talent there with Polk and Tate. You upgraded at pass catching at tight end, at least. You got Juwan Johnson, but you also bring in Fant, and Foster Moreau moves on, so you're more dynamic there. I think you go from I don't have that in front of me. I don't think I'm stepping out of bounds to say in October the Saints were a bottom 3 offense in the NFL. Like maybe it was bottom 5, maybe it was bottom 7. I don't think it's out of bounds to say they were bottom 3. They were awful, but they had injuries. They had a quarterback that didn't quite know what he was doing. They didn't have a lot of weapons. The offensive line was a disaster. That's all in the rearview mirror. But I think it would be fair to suggest you would be a top 15 offense in the NFL on paper if you take a wide receiver at number 8 here, and I'm all for that. I told you up top, if Caleb Downs slides and they want to go there, I'm good with that. I think he's a star, and they need somebody literally at the star spot to play on that defense because you've had some subtractions on the defensive side, and there are some needs there. So I'm not going to complain at all about going to Caleb Downs. But if you do go wide receiver, and it is Carnell Tate or it is Jordan Tyson, one of those guys, I think you're a top 15 offense in the NFL, and I think that's a very, very exciting thing for Saints fans. So I'm in for this pick with Mel Kiper. And truth be told, as we did a segment on this 3 weeks ago, there are not a lot of bad options here. Here are the picks in this Mel Kiper draft. The other one we did wasn't Mel, but to drive this point home, this is what's after Tate, where the Saints select. Chiefs 9, Reuben Bain, edge rusher, potentially star. Bengals, Mansour Delane, I would love that, but he's the 10th pick. Jordan Tyson goes 11 to Miami. Jermon McCoy, right there, same position as Delane at cornerback to the Cowboys at 12. And then you get to the spots that I don't want the Saints to go, which is Francis Mauigoa, the offensive lineman from Miami, and then Spencer Fanu, the offensive lineman from Utah. At that point, I don't want you to go there. But the picks right behind the Saints would make a ton of sense for the Saints. Jermon McCoy would make sense. Jordan Tyson would make sense. Mansour Delane would make sense. Reuben Bain would make sense. And, of course, the pick that they have in making Carnell Tate would make sense. So the point being there, the options are plentiful, and it's impossible at this point to suggest that when the Saints pick at 8 that their board will be picked clean. That's not a possibility based on the top end of this draft, the positions of need for the Saints, and the players that are going to be available. Even in a draft where teams are not going to be going nuts for quarterbacks in front of you, which is what you really would hope for if you have a quarterback and you are picking early, that people are flying up to take quarterbacks because you don't need them anyway. That's not going to be the case this year, but you're still perfectly fine at 8, and I'm good with Tate right there. Jordan, how are we feeling about it?
Not feeling the best. Not feeling the best. I like Carnell Tate. I do think he's a first-round pick, wide receiver. I just can't take him top 10, especially being a receiver too. Now, if I would go receiver, I would go Jordan Tyson because he's way more dynamic. Now, his injury history is the biggest red flag about him. That's like the end-all, be-all. His hamstrings are falling off the bone. That's not good. Especially, that's not good at all, especially at a position where you're going to be needing those hamstrings pretty much every play. But his just dynamicness, and he has the most pop, star potential to become a receiver one. But I hate to say it, but there's this no way I can, if Reuben Bain is there and he falls all the way to 8, and you're knowing that Cam Jordan is probably gone, so he doesn't have to come in. You still got Gradison, you still got Chase Young. He doesn't have to come in and be the premier guy. To add that to that mix, I mean, I know people going his arm length or whatever, but he's got
short
production.
arms.
Yeah, he's got Will Campbell disease, but he's got production. Same way, he's got production, real production. He ain't Cassius Howell disappearing when the game matters. No, he showed up when every game mattered the most.
Cassius Howell showed up when Carius Kern showed up.
Yeah, against little freshman 5-star tackles. That's what he can show up against. Reuben Bain go against top of the best.
Carnell Tate feels like He feels like Michael Thomas. He feels like Chris Olave. I wouldn't describe Thomas or Olave as massively explosive or a game breaker or any of that. They just win at the line of scrimmage. They win with their hands. Olave's had some drop troubles with the Saints, but
the Dolphins game.
He didn't at Ohio State, and they're just guys that you can just pencil in for 1,000 yards. And it kind of feels like the mold Carnell Tate is out of as well. Might not be the fastest guy on the field, but he's got body. He's got the ability to win off the line of scrimmage, and he can catch the football. So it's what it is. I like it. We'll see. There'll be much more of these mock drafts to come as we move forward. Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. We'll come back, do some SEC baseball power rankings. How far do the Tigers tumble? It's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
I'm going to take a tour at Marucci. Marucci here in Baton Rouge. What a story. Found in a backyard shed in 2004 by a couple of former big leaguers who had put their cleats up, and their athletic trainer said, let's make some bats. And now you fast forward 22 years, and those bats are the best in the world, and they're used by the best in the world as the official bat of Major League Baseball. If you'd like to hear that story, go take a tour. If you'd like to see where they make 1,200 bats a day, it's kind of hard to comprehend. 1,200 bats a day. You can go see them over at Marucci. Take a tour, maruccisports.com/campus-tour. Check that out. And every ticket comes with a 20% discount in the campus tour and in the hitter's house. So go to maruccisports.com, book that campus tour, take your youth baseball team, take your youth softball team, take your kiddos, go by yourself and see where the official bat of Major League Baseball is made. That is, of course, at Marucci.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
You business not thrilled about your upcoming insurance renewal? Contact the Highland Insurance Group. They are happy to put a second set of eyeballs on that. Always happy to be the next viable option over there at the Highland Insurance Group. I can tell you, they got a team of experts there. They will make sure you're taken care of. You should trust your insurance broker like you trust your attorney, like you trust your CPA. You trust them with the information, let them do their job, and you just keep running your business. That's what the Highland Insurance Group is happy to do for you. Jonathan Carbo and his team pride themselves on that. They're going to make sure you're taken care of. Yes, premiums important, but they're going to make sure your coverages are correct. When was the last time you got your building evaluated? When was the last time you looked at whether or not you're going to pay co-insurance penalties? Do you know whether or not you're covered properly if one of your employees clicks on a phishing email that compromises the system? What if one of your company automobiles gets into a wreck? Do you have the proper umbrella limits? These are all questions that you need to ask, as opposed to, hey, what does that proposal say on the last page? What's the premium? They'll take care of you in that perspective as well. They'll make sure that you are covered. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at highlandig.com. They're here in Baton Rouge. Online at highlandig.com. All right, we got 25 minutes to go here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. It's been a fast-moving show. We talked to Koki Riley, talked to Dr. Chris Bankhead a little bit earlier as well. Did some What If Wednesday. There's been plenty going on, but right now it's time for SEC Baseball Power Rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. The Texas Longhorns.
I'm comfortable sliding Texas at the top here. They've been there the whole time for me, but I feel like they are the best team. Their pitching is sensational. If it weren't for one big swing from Ole Miss back on Friday of last week, they sweep that series against Ole Miss. Now, credit the Rebs. They got the big swing and hit the grand slam there in the 8th inning. But Texas dominated on Saturday and Sunday, and their rotation is superb. You got Riojas, you got Harrison, you got Volantis. Great bullpen, and they're swinging the bats as well. Texas is a force. They're very, very good.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Mississippi State, very, very, very competitive up there. They lose the series in Fayetteville, but they did get the second game of that series. Were walked off in another. I like their rotation. I think it's very good. I do think they're going to hit a ton as well. This is a complete team that Brian O'Connor's built. They're catching it, they're hitting it, and they're pitching it. It's a tough place to go play up there at Baum. Not a lot of people win there. Mississippi State didn't, but I still think they're the second best team in the league.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
I got the Hogs up one spot to number 3 after playing well against Mississippi State and winning that series. They moved Cam Kojal over to shortstop from second base. They're trying to shore some things up there. They haven't hit the ball to their standard to this point. They haven't hit it as well as Texas or Mississippi State, but I do like their pitching, obviously. I think that Gabe Gackle is as talented as any Friday night starter in the league. So I like Arkansas. Surprise, surprise, moved them up to number 3 this week.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn drops a spot, not their fault. They swept over the weekend, so that's good. They went to Missouri and got all 3 games. They've gotten Chris Rembert back. He's swinging it pretty well, and I think they've got a legitimate ace at the front of their rotation. He's been excellent to this point. I like this team for Butch Thompson. He's done a great job acquiring talent there and getting it to work for him. Tough draw last year when they couldn't beat Coastal in that Super, but it's a good team. I've got them at 4.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
I moved Oklahoma up 2 spots. They beat Texas A&M 2 out of 3. The conditions in Norman were ridiculous. The wind was blowing like 45 miles an hour. They won a ridiculous slugfest in Game 3 on Sunday. But the problem is Cam Johnson. That was a bad start for him on Friday. If he's bad again tomorrow, which I'm hoping he is, I'll have to do some adjusting there with Oklahoma. Good start to Cam Johnson's year for 4 weeks. Bad against A&M. We'll see what he does in the box. He's a big piece to what they're doing. Your Friday night starter is pretty important. Mercurius has been sensational, and Saturday's not as good against A&M. But it's an interesting spot for Oklahoma coming to the box. I've got them at 5, up from 7, but they got to do some work this weekend on the road.
Texas A&M!
Really tight series between Oklahoma and A&M, so I back A&M up 1 spot. Big deal for A&M in College Station. They're coming to Baton Rouge here later on in the season. Josh Stewart, probably their best reliever, is probably headed for Tommy John. I'm not a doctor, but I watched the video. He delivers a pitch and, immediately grabs his elbow, drops it to the side, and walks off the field. Maybe he's just fine. I've got a feeling he's probably not. And it stinks for Stewart because he was a big-time reliever for them in the College World Series run when they went to the final 2 years ago. He was hurt all last year with a torn ACL. Now it looks like the UCL. I'm just going off the video, but the video was awful. So not good news for College Station there in College Station. They did get some guys back. Gavin Grahovic is back in the lineup, and Caden Sorrell is in there as well. But their best reliever just went down, so that's something to be aware of with Texas A&M.
The Florida Gators.
I don't know what to do with Florida. They moved up 5 spots. They moved up 5 spots not because they swept South Carolina. We'll get to South Carolina in about 20 minutes at this rate. They're just atrocious. But you saw the good versions of Liam Peterson and of their Saturday starter, whose name is now escaping me, Aiden Hall. I'm missing it. It doesn't matter. He was their Saturday starter last year. Those 2 guys threw shutouts over the weekend. South Carolina's awful, but their talent is immense there at Florida at the top of the rotation. And if they give you that weekly, you're going to have a chance to win. And they're going to be big-time draft picks. And so they didn't hit a ton over the first 2 games. They run-ruled South Carolina with 13 runs. It's probably overly ambitious to move them up 5 spots to number 7, but I like the top 2 in that rotation, so I did it.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky moves up from 10 to 8 after they got a sweep over the weekend to open league play. I don't know that a sweep over Alabama is something to necessarily write home about. We don't know how good Alabama is, but it is off to a good start. They got Josh Bell back at shortstop. He didn't play all 3 games. They're going to try to kind of keep him in intermittently until he recovers, if he recovers. It's kind of a gnarly shoulder injury he suffered, but he's a difference maker for them. It's a solid Kentucky team. I'll say that about Mangione's squad. So Kentucky's at number 8.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia beats Tennessee. You know how it ended at this point. They split the first 2 games. Game 3, Georgia's got a lead. Tennessee hits a home run, hits a ball that would have gone over the fence that would have given the Vols the lead. The runner slams the bat down. He's all fired up, and then Georgia robs it to win the game. As close as a series can be. So I've got these 2 teams as close as they can be. Georgia's at 9, and Tennessee.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Is at 10. They looked pretty close. They're playing in a bandbox. They hit a lot of home runs. I think that the pitching talent is good. The results have not been awesome from a pitching perspective. Tennessee did swing the bats a little bit better over the weekend in Athens, but you expect that in that stadium. So these 2 teams have a ways to go for me. They're 9 and 10.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
We've gotten to 11. We haven't mentioned LSU yet. Vanderbilt comes in at number 11. Fennell's not a traditional ace, but he has proven himself to be a good SEC pitcher. I didn't like what I saw on Sunday from Vanderbilt. That was a ridiculous start from their Sunday guy. Although on Saturday, you had a freshman that threw it great. They are hitting home runs. The wind was blowing out $1 billion, so that helped them hit some home runs against LSU. But they do have a little bit more power in their lineup to this point. So I don't love the Vandy staff. I think the lineup is okay, and they do have more power. So I've got them at number 11.
The LSU Tigers.
LSU's the big faller this week. They fall 6 spots to number 12. They're not really doing much well right now. That doesn't mean they're going to finish at 12. In fact, I would wager that they won't finish at 12 in these power rankings. But right now, that's what I got to do with them.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Ole Miss falls 5 spots. Their offense did not swing the bat at all, save 1 swing on Friday. in Austin. Now, Austin is a tough place to hit, and that pitching staff's really good. But Ole Miss is striking out a truckload. They are not walking. They're not hitting enough home runs. And now their Saturday starter experienced some discomfort on Saturday, came out of the game. Now, they've done the imaging, and he says he's okay, and he might pitch this weekend. He might be ready to go next weekend. But Townsend's their most talented pitcher. If he has to miss any sort of time at all, Ole Miss is in big, big trouble. It appears for this point right now that he's not going to have to miss a lot of time, but he might.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
They were down the line in my first power rankings, and they have not done anything to raise up those power rankings. Got swept in Lexington over the weekend. Zane's a nice arm in the rotation. LeBron is a super talent, but I don't see much in this Alabama team. I don't think they're going to make the NCAA tournament.
The Missouri Tigers.
Mizzou was scrappy. They were in all 3 games against Auburn. In all 3 games. Not run ruled, not blown off the field, not embarrassing. They were in all 3 games, and they lost them all, and that's going to happen. But they were in all 3 games, so they're clearly not 16, and 16 is clear.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
South Carolina got swept over the weekend. They got shut out on Friday, shut out on Saturday, got run ruled on Sunday 13-3. Then they came back yesterday and played Charlotte. They gave up 13 free passes and made 5 errors and lost. This team is bad at everything. I don't know how Paul Manier's doing it. I've watched him and I've interviewed him after a lot of losses in my early days on the LSU baseball beat. He did not take them very well. They're piling up now. You've got a complete lack of emotion in that fan base. They have tuned out. You've got 9 SEC weeks to go, and guess what? You just got swept by Florida. Now Arkansas is coming to town. So have fun with that. It's just not a good situation in Columbia, South Carolina to this point. So those are my SEC power rankings on this Wednesday. It's Texas at 1, Mississippi State at 2, Arkansas at 3, Auburn at 4, Oklahoma at 5, A&M 6, Florida 7. Number 8 is Kentucky. Georgia is number 9. Got Tennessee and Vanderbilt. They're at 10 and 11. LSU drops to 12. Let's hope we can do something about that this week. Ole Miss is at 13, Bama 14, Missouri's at 15, and South Carolina comes in 16th. SEC power rankings after week 1 of league play. Take a time out, come back and close it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
I'm telling you, my friends over at Ochsner, and they want me to tell you that it's Colon Cancer Awareness Month. Why is that important? Well, because colon cancer is extremely common, but it is so preventable and treatable when it's caught early. Screening can detect these precancerous polyps before they turn into cancer. So if you're an adult knocking on 45's door, it's time to start considering that screening. Anyone with a family history probably needs to get screened earlier. Colonoscopy is the gold standard, though there are some other options if you are at a low risk. Talk to your provider. That's important. They can help determine what's the best choice for you. And having that established relationship with your primary care provider makes all the difference. So ask about your personal risk. The early detection can save lives. Schedule that appointment at ochsner.org/schedule. That's ochsner.org/schedule or on the My Ochsner app. That's from our friends at Ochsner.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com, built by Renaissance.com. Contact Joey Blanchard, 225-252-7745. You're looking for that pool of your dreams. You can find them online, built by Renaissance.com. You know, I do love when LSU plays the occasional Thursday night baseball game. It shortens the week down, takes one day of like no action and tosses it away for our perspective. It turns Sunday in kind of a day off. Tomorrow's not one of the days that I would want LSU to play the Thursday game. It has nothing to do with baseball. I would like to get home and watch hoops tomorrow, but I'm not going to watch hoops tomorrow. I'm going to get home and cook dinner and get the kids in bath, and then I'm going to watch LSU because that's the important thing. But I would love to watch basketball tomorrow. That's the next 4 days to me are the best 4 days in sports that we have in America. Like if you told me I could only enjoy one aspect of sports, March Madness would not be it. I want the teams that I root for, and oftentimes the team I root for is not in March Madness, and I've been around for 38 years now, and my team's been in the Final Four once, so I would rather root for my team, but if you're just taking all the allegiances out, this is the best. And these 4 days where it's just wall-to-wall hoops, you get that witching hour where there's, 4 games inside of 8 minutes to go, and you got upsets over here and teams you hate over here and teams you're pulling for and future lottery picks over here. It's just awesome. And I'm looking forward to paying attention to it best I can over the next couple of days, but LSU baseball is going to take precedence tomorrow night. Maybe Sunday when LSU baseball doesn't play and you've got the fourth of these awesome 4 days, I can kind of lock in and watch a little bit of that. But I'm very, 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 very excited. The one thing that I will say that has made it a little bit more difficult, and this is a real nitpick that won't even apply to me really tomorrow, but they used to have all the courts were different for every site. So you could kind of tell what you were looking at if you were in a sports bar with a lot of TVs.
Like,
now they've
West,
uniformed them all.
The East.
So they all look the same. And so now it's kind of sometimes disorienting to look up at what game you're supposed to be trying to follow because all the courts look the same. But you have to be in a sports bar to have that problem, or a sports book, and I won't have that problem. I'll be right here in studio, or at my house where I have one TV. So it is what it is. I'm not going to complain about that. I'm excited for the madness. We'll get it cranked up tomorrow. If anything happens from LSU's perspective, we'll certainly talk about it. All right, let's close it out.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so Rory McIlroy's Master Champions dinner menu was released today. Oh, Lord, I see what you're saying. I got to get my Jimmy on.
Get your
right
Jimmy
now.
on. Let's read that menu, Jordan.
It is highlighted by tempura shrimp and grilled elk sliders. The first course is tuna carpaccio. Carpaccio. The main dishes are Wagyu filet mignon or seared salmon. Dessert will be sticky toffee pudding with vanilla ice cream. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. It's good.
Ooh, I mean, this is expensive.
I'll take it.
I mean, Rory can handle it.
I'm about to say elk sliders.
And by the way, that is not anything compared to what the wine list is on the bottom.
Oh, really?
Which I don't know anything about wine, but I know that Rory is super rich and loves wine. So he will be and Augusta has a ridiculous wine cellar. So he's going to have the wine is where the money is going to be off the charts. But
elk sliders?
I've only eaten like game like that on 2 occasions.
Yeah.
I went to my cousin's wedding in Colorado, and I got bison at that.
Delicious.
And then I went on a vacation to Lake Tahoe one time it was kind of a conference type deal. And I did eat elk then, and I like it. I think it's awesome. So I'm in for that. And I'm in for the Wagyu filet mignon, which I don't believe I've ever had.
Never.
I don't think I've ever had Wagyu, so I'm in for that. I don't know about the sticky toffee pudding.
Yeah, I'm not a real big pudding, especially toffee. I don't even know what toffee is.
It's it's probably fine, but if you got a slice of cheese cake back there, just
I'm about to say, give me some cookies, some brownies, something like that.
Cookies.
I'm about to say.
And they've had that. So there was a cookie skillet recently. I think maybe Scotty Scheffler did a cookie skillet.
All right, so after a prolonged labor battle, the WNBA has reached a verbal agreement for a new CBA.
Okay.
The salary cap will jump from $1.5 million to $7 million.
Wow.
With the Supermax starting at $1.4 million, it was only $200,000 last year. So is the WNBA taking steps in the right direction? Take it or leave it.
You got to take it.
Got
If
to.
they up the salary cap by 4x, then that's pretty good. So whatever. I'm thrilled about that. Pay the people. If there's people watching, if there's people coming, then you up the revenues. Sounds reasonable.
I'm about
to
to say, especially we're talking about a Supermax that was $200,000.
Yeah.
So we got to step it up a little bit. So last but not least, the Dolphins, they have been receiving calls about Devon Achane. You know, the Dolphins have been blowing everything up.
Yes.
But they have told teams they're not interested in trading Achane. And Achane's coming up on the last year of his deal. So keeping a running back in his prime when you're rebuilding, take it or leave it?
I'll leave that. That sounds completely stupid if we're being honest. Like if you've blown up the team and you think you're going to stink, like a running back's like the first asset you would mortgage off.
Basically.
Yeah, that's the first piece you're going to pawn off because by the time you're good, his tread's off the tires. So if you had, a edge rusher, a offensive tackle that you felt really good was going to play until he was 34.
You can keep that guy for sure.
Keep that guy around. A running back, that's absolutely not. If you can get an asset,
and his last year of his deal,
toss it up. Yeah, that's ridiculous. You got to get rid of that. But I'm not in charge of the Dolphins, so they'll, I guess, do exactly what it is they want to do. That's it for Take It or Leave It.
That's it.
That's it for us on a Wednesday. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Appreciate our guest for jumping aboard today. Had Koki Riley earlier on in this hour. Appreciate Dr. Chris Bankhead for stopping by as well. We did plenty, though. We talked about Mel Kiper's mock draft. You missed that. Hunt on Saints is where you can find all of our Saints content. Missed our reaction to LSU and Grambling last night in the first segment. Jay Johnson sound in the second segment where he had some interesting things to say about Chris Stanfield as well as the pitchers that he worked with. I've got a story up on that at louisianasports.net. Koki was with us at 2:30 talking Tiger baseball as well. So go back and catch the whole show on demand on YouTube, wherever you find your podcast. Hunt Palmer Show is what you can search to help us out there. All right, tomorrow LSU and Oklahoma are at it. We'll talk about that. Joe Healy will jump aboard to talk to us. We'll get you updated on all the scores for March Madness. If you're wagering or got a big bracket, good luck to you tomorrow. We'll back tomorrow. Matt's going to drive you home next on AFR.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com. FabryChevrolet.com is that website. They're on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Just a couple short weeks ago, we made the short drive up to St. Francisville. Had a lovely weekend. But the point I'm telling you is it's really quick from Baton Rouge to St. Francisville if you want to go up there and see some fantastic Chevys and GMCs on the lot. If you want to kind of scout the inventory first, you can do that at FabryChevrolet.com. But when you go up to St. Francisville and you check them out on Highway 61, you're going to get an amazing customer experience because the Fabry family has been offering that to Baton Rouge for almost 4 decades. They've got 3 locations, 5 brands, and thrilled to have this Chevrolet GMC point in St. Francisville. If you're looking for a Silverado, how's $11,000 off MSRP sound? Pretty good. Looking for a GMC Sierra, how does $13,000 off MSRP sound? Pretty good. They've also got 0.0% APR financing on those Sierras. Check them out at Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Of course, online at FabryChevrolet.com.